And I think we keep saying this theologically, but we don't really know what it means in our everyday life. When we are under threat, under pressure, when we lose our jobs and we don't know where the next meal is coming from, can we actually say relief and deliverance will come from another place? There was that kind of confidence that God will deliver us. There was this huge threat, the annihilation of the Jews. Relief and deliverance will come from another place. One of the things, the deep things that God has had to teach me as somebody who has to raise money for an organization is to trust Him very deeply in His sovereign way of being able to provide for our own institutional support. Because as I said, it's a ministry that people don't understand. It takes a whole hour just to understand what it's about, no? And sometimes the staff don't even know what it is. But it's hard to articulate, no? It's not like, you know, oh, we're doing evangelism. Everybody understands that, no? But when you say, oh, we would like to be a voice in the public square, ano yun, and so on. So it's difficult to get money, you know, in that way. But the one thing that God has taught me is that I should always trust, not in His funding agencies. I once wrote the ECO in the Netherlands, and because they were wanting us to report, you know, in a way which I felt was not culturally sensitive. So I wrote them and I said, I'm very sorry, we're not going to give reporting in this way because this is not the way, you know, it doesn't do justice to the work that we do here. And they were surprised. He said, you know, the director was saying, this is the first time ever anybody said to us that we are culturally insensitive. And of course, I had to pray because we might lose the funding. And you're talking, we might lose the funding. But I thought I needed to say that. And church and culture kami, no? I thought, if we don't say it, we must say it for the rest, not just for ISAC, but for the rest of the two-thirds world that they deal with, no? They're dealing with how many countries? So I said, we must say this. So I said it. Of course, at the risk of, you know, losing 8 million pesos. But one of the things that God has to teach me, relief and deliverance will come from another place if these people don't come through for you. You have to trust me. You don't trust your funding agencies. You trust me. And this is one of the things that I like about Mordecai. He was, of course, appealing to Esther because Esther had the access to the king. But he says, if you don't do so, relief and deliverance will come from another place. Now, the interesting thing is that when, after this, he says, who knows? He awakens Esther to the possibility of her own significance. Because at this point, Esther was simply thinking, I am simply a queen, maybe by accident, because the king happened to dislike Vashti, and I am part of a subject people. And I'm, you know, even if I'm queen, the fact is I have no real power. But Mordecai opens her up to the possibility that there are bigger things at stake here. You are not just a housewife. It is not by accident that you are here. that you have come to royal position for such a time as this. Who knows but that you are where you are now, precisely for a time like this. You may simply be a housewife, with very tenuous sense of your own power. That's okay. Who knows? You are where you are because God has put you there, out of His sovereign will. I got a little glimpse of this when we were doing this big zarzuela. And of course, as usual, I do not know half of what I'm doing. And we mounted this zarzuela, which I wrote and which I asked our national artist, San Pedro, Lucio San Pedro, who wrote that Ugay ng Duyan. Because I thought he has the kind of musical quality that's needed for this kind of work. It's for the celebration of the 100 years of Philippine independence. And so I put in my competition, you know, there's a national competition, and I put in my work, and it won. So I asked the national artist, San Pedro, who was then already in his late 80s, if he can put this to music, and it took him 3 years. And then after that, when I got the manuscripts, the music sheets, I didn't realize, and then he says to me, we must put this in the cultural center. And can we have a 40-piece orchestra? So I kept saying yes, yes, but I did not know how expensive that was. You know, 1.2 million just for the orchestra, no? But I said, yeah, we will do it because he was national artist, no? And then 2 weeks after he died. And then everybody